Hello, Astro family and friends. My name is Carien. I joined Lada's team end of March this year. And today I would like to share with you about Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, these three outer planets and their correlation with your potential and possible career choices. So I'll be focusing on midheaven. So midheaven is the 10th house cusp, and which is the highest point in the natal charts, representing the highest deeds that we do in this incarnation. So usually the highest deeds that we do in this incarnation is through career. That's why 10th house cusp is associated with career. And also it represents our reputation, image that we proactively project onto the world. So it's a very important point. And also I'll be focusing on ruler of midheaven. So let's say if your midheaven cusp is in Scorpio, then the ruler will be Mars. If the 10th house cusp is in Gemini, then the ruler will be Mercury, and so on. Also, I'll be focusing on 6th house and also the ruler of 6th house. If you happen to be debating whether you should listen to your logical mind or to follow the heart, I hope this video can give you some inspirations or confirmation about the career that you want to pursue. And if you're parents watching this video, you can check your kids' charts and see if they have some of the combinations that I shared today. And also you can be more informed to support their journeys. And I'm using whole sign house system, tropical zodiac, but usually I blend Vedic astrology into my readings to give a more comprehensive perspective. So what I'm going to share today is only half true because we will still need to check the whole chart to determine the outcome. So if you'd like to have a reading with me, you can find the information in the description below. Now, Uranus. Uranus keywords are independence, uniqueness, originality, eccentricity, freedom, innovation, bringing the new ideas to the world, to the humanity. And Uranus is futuristic, authenticity, and also rebelliousness. If you have Uranus conjunct midheaven, or Uranus is making any aspects like square, opposition, sextile, or trying to midheaven, or to ruler of midheaven, freedom is very important to you. So such people, they are not suitable for 9-to-5 job. If you do have a 9-to-5 job, it's better for you to do some Uranian careers, such as like scientific work, research, technology related, and something electrical, computer science, programming, coding, internet, something to do with the advanced technology, and something futuristic ahead of the time. Astrology is also ruled by Uranus, and because it's a science. But again, we have to see the whole charts. Not everyone has Uranus influencing their 10th house cusp is a astrologer. But such people, they can also be interested in alternative methods, innovative stuff. They can also be interested in social movements because Uranus is associated with the 11th house. It's the modern ruler of Aquarius. So social movements, and Uranus is about bringing the change to the society as well. So people with this combination, they can also be interested in the systems and trends like economy, market study, or market research. People with Uranus conjunct midheaven, or Uranus is making any aspect to midheaven, the point, or the ruler of midheaven, it's best for them to arrange their time at work, so they don't have to worry about punching the card to be punctual. And that's why such people, they might prefer to be self-employed. If they are working in the corporate or in the environments that has a lot of rules or regulations, they might not fit in so well, and they might rebel against the rules. So particularly for people with Uranus conjunct midheaven, because midheaven is the most visible point and represents the fame and reputation and social image. So when the Uranus is conjuncting the midheaven, it's more obvious. So such people, they can have a reputation as someone who does unconventional stuff, and they are also known for their genius ideas, their genius mind. And they can also be seen as someone who is very innovative, independent, unique, and forward. But conjunction usually acts either way. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So such people, they can also have a positive image, like positive labels, like they are very innovative, but at the same time, they can also be seen as a rebel or black sheep. But nevertheless, if you such people, they should incorporate new technology into their careers, because Uranus is bringing the new ideas, so they can incorporate new and forward ideas into their careers with good aspects like sextile and trine. It's easier for them to incorporate those things into their work, and they can even have some public support. And also because 10th house represents one of the parents, so when they incorporate things into the things they want to do, they can also fit in their parents' expectations. But with hard aspects like square, conjunction, or opposition, there might be some difficulties and obstacles to overcome. For example, if you are establishing a website and there might be some tech problems that you have to overcome, or if you building a website for your projects, you probably need to sell your ideas to your peer or to other department heads if you're working in an advertising company. And you just need to put extra effort to prove your ideas if the aspects is more cruel, like like opposition and square, sometimes conjunction. And Uranus gives sudden changes. So people with Uranus conjunct midheaven, or Uranus is making any aspects to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, there might be some changes in their careers or sudden ups and downs of their reputations. So for example, they might just quit their job out of nowhere, or they might get sacked, or they might just change their jobs because there are too many rules restricted in the working environment. And they might change their jobs because they have problems with authority figures, because the 10th house also represents the authority figures and also the governmental institutions. So particularly in the more traditional working environments, so these kind of things might happen. And people with Uranus conjunct midheaven, or Uranus is making aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, they are more suitable in careers that are fast changing, like the internet and technology. And they can even combine these two, like technology and internet together, and they can create their own utopia online and totally free from the restriction and frustration from this material world. And as we are entering into Aquarius age, the world will move faster, and also the frequency will be faster. So such people, they actually don't get frustrated with this fast pace, because some people, they are more suitable, like more stable pace, but people with Uranus influencing their 10th house or in their career, they actually feel comfortable and with this kind of pace. So Uranus in the 6th house, or Uranus is making any aspect to ruler of 6th house. 6th house rules many other things. And since the topic today is more about career path, so I will focus on work-related meanings. 6th house rules routines, lifestyle, everyday activities. Routines actually don't work with people who have Uranus in the 6th house, or Uranus is making any aspects to ruler of 6th house. Again, it's very similar to the 10th house, because they need a job with flexible working hours, or maybe a job they can just come and go as they like, or maybe they can just be self-employed. And such people, they are advised to work in Uranian fields that we mentioned earlier. So 6th house also rules health. So this is the difference. 6th house rules health and also has this connotation of medical field. So people with Uranus in the 6th house, or Uranus is making any aspects to ruler of 6th house, they can be the believers of alternative treatments. They can also be researchers of looking for different treatments to improve health or to cure diseases, because Uranus also has this research energy to it. So they can do some research work in regards to medical field. And they can also bring some new ideas to medical research. They can also be someone who revolutionizes the diets, because Uranus wants to bring something new. And Uranus is to do with technology and frequency. So such people, they can also be acupuncturists, because acupuncture works on the meridian lines in the body. And they can also use like new age modalities into if they are working in the healing industry. or maybe they just combine this healing, new age healing modalities into their acupuncturist in business. And Uranus also brings changes, ups and downs. So in the sixth house, there might be sudden changes in their jobs, or sudden changes in the life of their colleagues, or there might be some sudden changes. They need to adopt new methods, new way of doing things, new technology into their working process. If it's a gentle aspects like Uranus is sextiling or trining ruler of sixth house, they can adopt changes, a new way of doing things, new technology more easily. But with hard aspects like square, opposition, even conjunction, there might be some resistance in the first place. So remember, Uranus wants to modernize, revolutionize, and break the barriers, and to introduce the new. And sixth house also rules lifestyle, everyday activities, and such people, they want to bring the new ideas and improve our lifestyle. I have an example. Here we have Jeff Bezos' chart. So the 10th house is looking very busy. 10th house midheaven is trining Uranus, Pluto, and both in sixth house. So first of all, Uranus is making a trine to midheaven. So in his career, he should probably incorporate innovative ideas and also new technology, since it's a trine, so it's easy to manifest. And also the outer circumstances are more supportive to him if he wants to do that. And Uranus is also making a trine to Mercury. Mercury also sits in the 10th house, and Mercury rules third house. So Uranus is making a trine to ruler of third house. And third house rules the mind, thinking, learning, and skill. And Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So it gives such people a genius mind, but also quite restless mind. And their thinking is super fast, full of questions, and sometimes a lot of ideas. And it can also give such people like natural interest and talent in Uranian things, like scientific stuff, scientific research, technology, thinking outside of the box, systems, computer science, coding and programming, the things that we mentioned earlier. And they can also have the talent in understanding complicated systems, because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and also it's the divine wisdom. So it's very genius. And Uranus is making their mind operate super fast. So such people, they can also learn things very fast. So when Jeff Bezos was young, he actually designed an alarm and tried to catch his siblings who tried to go into his room. So you can see that he has this talent and also ability at young age. And he also changed his stepfather's garage as his lab. And he also has bachelor degrees of electrical engineering and computer science. And in his 20s, he was working at Wall Street in the positions that are related to technology or looking for business opportunities on the internet. So all the experiences sounds very technology driven. And every 2 or 4 years, he actually changed his job. So we mentioned about Uranus sits in the sixth house can bring some changes and ups and downs in their jobs. And what happens to him, this is what happened to him as well. And the last job that he had was for 4 years, and he quit and started Amazon.com. And Uranus sits in the sixth house. Sixth house rules the lifestyle and everyday activities. So no doubt he wants to revolutionize and liberate our lifestyle. And Amazon.com indeed was the groundbreaking idea. It completely changed our lifestyle. Also, it affects the business model because it combines retail and internet together. Back then, it didn't seem possible, but because people, they thought we need to touch and feel the products before buying it. But nowadays, everything is digitalized. So if your business doesn't have any online shop, it's not gonna work. Now, Pluto is also making the try to midheaven. And we will talk about Pluto later, but very quickly, the Pluto in sixth house shows that such people, they need a job that they have passion for, because Pluto rules passion and laser-like focus and obsession. So they need a job to keep this fire going, keep this passion going. And sixth house also rules health and has this connotation of medical field. Jeff Bezos has invested in several biotechnology companies, and many of them are working on solutions for cancer. And because according to WHO, cancer is the second leading cause of death. And cancer treatment is still the area that we haven't found solutions yet. So you see that he's thinking very forward, futuristic. He's still looking to the future. And Sun and Mars, they're also in the 10th house. So this 10th house is very busy. Sun and Mars, they are in the 10th house, is actually a very good position for them because they get full directional strength in Vedic astrology. So directional strength, that means it gives blessing, fame, sometimes fame and recognition. So directional strength of Sun gives him fame, recognition, and wealth, and directional strength of Mars gives him courage and determination to overcome all sorts of obstacles. And with Ketu, from here, maybe you can't see Ketu south node, but you can see that from the north node in the 4th house. So the opposite side is Ketu in the 10th house, right on the 10th house cusp. And Ketu shows where we have focused and put a lot of efforts in the past lifetime. And this lifetime, we bring in these gifts and talents. So leadership and high position was something that he put a lot of efforts in the past lifetime. So in this lifetime, leadership role actually comes to him very easily. So he was the senior vice president at David Shaw hedge fund when he was just 30. So yes, the leadership role and also the fame actually came to him very early. And we can see that this ruler of 10th house cusp, Saturn is also the ruler that rules these 3 planets that goes into the 11th house. So his career is working with large groups of people in the large corporate setting, because the 10th house ruler goes into the 11th house. It's more identified with the 11th house setting, and 11th house rules like large group of people, large corporate setting. And his career path, the 10th house cusp, is also mostly identified with making the world a better place, because the 11th house, this connotation of Aquarius, and Aquarius has this, is associated with humanitarian cause, long-term dreams and goals. And also 10th and 11th house, they are Upachaya houses in Vedic astrology. So it means the house and also the planets in Upachaya houses will improve with time, with age. So that means he will achieve higher goals and his reputation will go higher and higher with time, particularly in the later, like after 40. So I think that's actually quite true to him in this chart. And also this Saturn is very strong because the Saturn is in its own sign, Aquarius. And also it's a ruler of 11th house, sits in the 11th house. 11th house rules gains and the money that we make. So ruler of the 11th house sitting in the 11th house, it's a very strong position, a very gainful position. Now Neptune. The keywords for Neptune is vagueness, sacrifice, spirituality, divine love, imagination, idealism, dreams, fantasy, and escapism, and avoidance. So Neptune is the high octave of Venus, and Venus is the planet that knows how to appreciate beauty and what's valuable. And Neptune is connecting to the more refined matters. So because Neptune has this vagueness, so it makes something more beautiful. So when you have Neptune influencing your horoscope, it can make one know how to appreciate like more refined things, like more refined arts, beauty, fashion, and music. So people with Neptune conjunct midheaven or is making any aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, they can have talents in creativity, artistic activities. They can also have careers in arts, music, fashion, beauty, like haute couture, because haute couture is something more tailor-made and something is more refined. And they can also have careers in theaters, art galleries, dancing, choreography, because they're using their body to express what's here, the imagination, and also stage setting, performance art, music production, filmmaking. And if you happen to have Uranus and Neptune double influence your midheaven or ruler of midheaven, you can also even combine technology into your music. Like you can do something groundbreaking, something has never been done before, or film production. Like you can apply latest technology to add some tremendous effects in your movies. And Neptune is the planet that makes something more beautiful and more refined. So the results and also the products that we produce is very different from this, from its original look or from what it was originally. For example, sugar. Like raw sugar may not taste so good, but once it's been refined, it tastes very good. But the problem is it can become a little bit more artificial. So that's why the lower manifestations of Neptunes are disguise, fakeness, and dishonesty. But even though it sounds negative, but we can still use these qualities into a more positive ways. Like advertising is ruled by Neptune, because advertising is to do with bringing something, making something more beautiful, creating the dream, creating ideal image for other people. Photo editing is the same, video editing. So you can also in a career, whatever career that's making something more beautiful, then it truly is like a packaging. And you can also in a career that's creating a dream, creating an ideal image for others, because Neptune rules idealism. So through their creation, through the products that they make, through the world that these people they create for us, it actually encourages us to continue dreaming, because sometimes the reality is not so beautiful. So we need a dream to have this imagination. So some dreamers and inventors, they actually have strong Neptune influence in their horoscope, because they can bring the imagination to life, and they have this ability to bring the intangible to the possible outcomes that make the dream come true. And people with Neptune conjunct midheaven or Neptune in aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, they see the world in a very different way, in a more artistic way than the rest of us. But Neptune has this quality to dissolve things. So when it comes to career path, there might be some periods of time such people, they don't have to work. So let's look at another example I have for you is Mucia Prada. So Mucia Prada, she is the third generation of the brand, Prada, the brand. So I'll give you a little bit background of this brand so you can have a better understanding about her charts. So initially Prada, this brand, was a leather goods boutique established in Milan, and it was widely loved and used by the rich people in Milan and also the Italian royal family. And Mucia's grandfather, the founder of Prada, actually when he was about to retire, he didn't actually think women should be involved in his business, because back then, 1930, 1940, it was still very common that people thinking women shouldn't work. So he had no intention to pass on his business, his family business, to any female offspring. But unfortunately, his son had no interest in fashion. So the brand, like nobody wanted to take over this brand, and this brand was actually facing bankruptcy. So eventually Mucia Prada, Mrs. Prada, and her husband took over it, and it was about 1978. So when Mucia Prada took over the family business, it was still a traditional leather good brand, and it wasn't worldly known. And about Mucia, she didn't actually study fashion, fabric, or design. She actually has a PhD degree in political science. And she was very active in politics and all social movements, because during that time, 60s, 70s, there was a feminist movement. So originally her path was set to go to politics and promote social changes. So you can imagine like someone who didn't actually study fashion and design took over family business could be very challenging. And people in fashion business and also other designers, they are waiting for her to bring something to the table. But finally, Mrs. Prada creates this black nylon bag, just like you can see from the picture, in 1985, and it's become a hit and classic. And also this product has brought Prada to the top position nowadays. So now her chart. You can see that midheaven is squaring Neptune and also opposing Venus. So Neptune shows artistic talents in fashion, beauty, aesthetics in a more refined taste. And also it shows the ability to bring the imagination to life. With a square, it shows some internal struggles to overcome, which was quite true in her story, because in the interviews that she said she loves clothes, but she doesn't like the idea that we have to dress up just to please other people. And she also doesn't like her design, her collection becomes something to objectify women. So you can see that her speech was actually quite feminist. And also the backgrounds, 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a feminist movement around that time. So you can see from here, there's a push and pull, internal dialogue, internal struggle about fashion. And midheaven is also opposing Venus. So Venus and Neptune, they're both ruling like love, beauty, and pleasure. So Venus is the ruler of second house, and second house rules many other things, but here, second house also rules family lineage and also what we value. So when you see the ruler of second house goes into the fourth house, it shows the family lineage goes into her place of living, her own family. So that means she will need to deal with things related to family, like business or family affairs, family events, and it's opposing midheaven. So initially, like I said, she didn't want to take over the family business, but she was forced to take over it eventually. And Venus in the fourth house is actually a good position for Venus, because Venus in the fourth house gets full directional strength. So she has blessing in the fourth house also, as well as Venus rules stuff. So such people, they can have great artistic talents, and they can also gain success and fame, reputation through artistic activities. So it's actually a good position. It's just she has this internal struggle that she needs to overcome. And this midheaven is also trining Pluto, and the ruler of 10th house, Saturn, sits in the 5th house, conjunct Pluto. So her career path at least gets transformed once in her lifetime. So some kind of transformational events that might shift her career path. So due to the brand that was facing bankruptcy, and then she was forced to take over the family business, which totally transformed her path from politics to fashion, as well as her social image, because politics and fashion industry, they are two completely different things. And Pluto also shows purging and where we can get rid of something outdated and create something new. So in her career in Prada, she started using like contradictory fabrics and so-called ugly colors. Like people don't think that people in fashion industry, they don't think you shouldn't use this kind of fabrics or this kind of color, but she didn't care. She just used them. And because she felt like classic beauty is very boring, so she has transformed and introduced this idea like ugly chic, and to change people like our perspective, traditional classic idea of beauty into something different. And also this kind of idea also influenced all the designers in the world. Now, Neptune in the 6th house in aspect to ruler of 6th house. So sixth house rules many other things, but I will focus on more like career and work related meanings. And sixth house is dealing with daily routines, daily activities, and practical matters. So Neptune has this vagueness, confusion energy to it. So people have Neptune in the sixth house, or Neptune is making any aspect to ruler of sixth house. They might get distracted easily because sometimes they can get some quite absent-minded, and they can get absent-minded about practical things. So they might have trouble keeping up with deadlines, and they might struggle with time management. They might be late for work, and they might not show up when you have a meeting together. So sometimes they can seem a little bit unreliable. And Neptune rules escapism. So it can also show that such people, they actually don't care for daily routines and chores, like paying bills or filling out tax forms or dusting the house. They might just want to find excuses to avoid it, escape the boring routines. And just like Uranus, such people, they are not suitable for corporate jobs because they having trouble like keeping up with deadlines. So if the job requires being punctual or have a lot of structure, it won't work for people with Neptune influence. And they need to be in the job that has no like strict deadlines, or a job that is more free flowing, so they can come and go as they like advertising industry, because advertising is a very good option for people like them, because usually people working in advertising or marketing, they work very late, they work overtime. So sometimes they have more flexible to come into the office a bit later too. And they can also work in like art gallery, especially the type of gallery only serves VIPs. So they don't have to open the gallery every day. And people with Neptune in the sixth house, or Neptune is making aspect to sixth house, they can also be excellent in art, music, performance, and creative fields. It's just very similar to the 10th house. And slightly different is sixth house is also associated with Virgo energy. And Virgo is the energy likes to collect information, dissect information, and keep the most practical one. So that's why it makes Virgo sixth house is associated with healing and medical field, because we need Virgo to diagnose illness with their massive knowledge data bank. But even with the same illness, we can't just give the same treatment to different people. So this is when Neptune comes into play, because Neptune is very intuitive. So we need this intuition to feel through the way, to feel through the difference between people. And so Neptune in the sixth house, or Neptune is making any aspect to ruler of sixth house. It's better if you have a gentle aspects like sextile and trine. So such people, they can work in medical field, pharmaceutical field, drugs. And if you happen to have Uranus and Neptune double influence to ruler of sixth house or in the sixth house, they can even combine medicine and new technology and inventing something new in the medical field, like biotechnology. And such people, they might be interested in alternative methods like homeopathy, alternative medicine, or something more advanced. And they can also incorporate like wave technology or frequency into their healing business, or they can also incorporate like new age healing modalities in their medical field. So here I have another example. Okay, Alexander Fleming. So Alexander Fleming, he was the person who firstly discovered penicillins in 1921, but there were fellow scientists, like a bunch of people and also a team, they further studied it and purified penicillins. So it wasn't just about him, but I can only find his chart, so please bear with me. And penicillin were the first antibiotic that doctor used. And this discovery and manufacture of penicillins have actually changed the face of medicine. And also this kind of drugs save a lot of people, like millions of lives. So in his charts that you can see that midheaven is in Pisces. So the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune. Already there's a connection with Neptune. Next, midheaven, the career path, is making a sextile to Neptune, another connotation, connection with Neptune. And also, if we look at traditional ruler, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and Jupiter is conjuncting Neptune as well. So triple influence from Neptune. His career path is strongly influenced by Neptune. It's very obvious in this chart. So what we mentioned earlier about Neptune is to do with pharmaceutical and medical healing fields. And also sixth house is in Sagittarius. Ninth house, ninth sign away from ascendant is Pisces, but midheaven cusp is also in Pisces as well. So you can see that there's a connection between sixth house, ninth house, and 10th house cusp. And this Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces, and Jupiter sits in the 11th house. So ruler of sixth house is connecting to 10th house cusp, the career path. And also ruler of sixth house, medical field, has this connection to ninth house, which is higher learning, higher education. So it's a strong, very strong medical field indication for him. Like he has to go to the higher education of medical field, and also it's suitable for him to do some medical research. And now this Jupiter rules sixth house, ninth house, and 10th house cusp, sits in the 11th house. 11th house is associated with large groups of people, long-term dreams and hopes. It also rules scientific work, research, any system without a center. And 11th house also has this association with Aquarius. So it's to do with humanitarian cause and making the world a better place. So like scientific research in the medical field looks very prominent in his charts. And through his research, he can also help large groups of people and also this our humanity. Last but not least, Pluto. Keywords for Pluto: control, power, obsession, passion, focus, power struggle, and it rules the shadow side of human beings like fears, doubts, destruction, and transformation. And people with Pluto conjunct midheaven, or Pluto is making any aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, they might have a strong desire for power, and they can be very passionate about their career, very passionate about what they want to do in life, and they can also be very ambitious. And they want to be in the influential positions because they want to sort of like control other people. And sooner or later, such people, they can succeed in life because they have this passion and laser-like focus, obsession for in their careers, for the things they want to do. And Pluto is the modern ruler for Scorpio. So such people, they can also be good in the fields of research, because Pluto, Scorpio, they have this energy that they like to get to the bottom of everything. So like news industry, they can also get to the bottom of what's really happening. And they can also dig deep in secrets. They can also dig deep in hidden knowledge and mysticism, like occultists. And they can also research something buried underground, like archaeologists, or they can be plumbers, because plumbers, they are someone who deal with pipes and water underground. And they can also dig deep into our subconscious mind and uncover the root cause. That's why they can be great psychologists. And Pluto is about transformation. So they can also be someone who helps other people to go through hardship and crisis situations in life, because usually people with Pluto, like strong influence, they can have some ups and downs in their lives depending on the whole chart. So they can also be the great candidate to help people to go through hardship in life. And Pluto also rules death and rebirth. So such people, they can also have careers in midwifery or in the funeral industry. And Pluto also rules other people's money. So such people, they can also be great at managing other people's resources and money, like banking, hedge fund, taxes, accounting, insurance. Some of the big tycoons, they also have this combination in their chart, like strong Pluto. And whenever Pluto sits in the horoscope, we will have some transformational experience in that area of life, particularly for people have Pluto conjunct midheaven, because the influence is more direct. So midheaven is the most visible position in the charts, and also it rules reputation and social image. So they can have some kind of big transformation in their professional path, as well as their social images. And transformation happens when things collapse and things gets destroyed, or when we are forcing to lose everything, to lose power. Our ego gets destroyed in order to become something, to become a new person. So in order to birth some new perspective, because Pluto's lesson is always to do with the ego. So once your ego gets destroyed, maybe you will have new epiphany about life, about the world, about yourself. So people with Pluto conjunct midheaven, such people, they may have experienced like big change at least once in their career path. It could be being sacked. It could be just the reputation they've been built being destroyed, or the company they built collapses, because Pluto rules fears. So when those incidents happen to them, it could feel like their biggest fear comes true. But through those events, it can actually completely change their perspective of power, because such people usually they have the power hunger, and also they want to control other people. So through catastrophic events, it destroys the more egocentric idea of the world, of work, of yourself. So when you come back, and usually they can come back like a phoenix, they are able to recognize and use power more wisely, and also they can probably let go of control. And if you have Pluto is making any aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, such people, they may change their career path periodically, but it's more voluntarily. So Pluto conjunct midheaven is more painful, like you're forced to go through a process. But if it's making aspect to midheaven or ruler of midheaven, depending on the aspects, so sometimes it can be just more voluntarily you want to change. And every time when they change it, when they change their career path, it feels like a mini death, like a complete change of your image and reputation, or maybe just the whole life. Your whole lifestyle can be completely changed as well. Just like Mucia Prada, the example that we look at, because her image and also social career path is completely changed from politics to fashion. So also the lifestyle is very different. Pluto shows our fears. So such people, they fear to be controlled by authority figures, because 10th house also represents authority figures and also governmental institutions. And usually they have such experiences of being controlled when they were young. So when they grow up, this fear of being controlled actually becomes their motivation. They will work really hard to get to the top position, so they don't have to be controlled by anyone. And they may secretly enjoy power, enjoy controlling others and micromanaging others. So it's very funny, because such people, they enjoy power, they enjoy maybe secretly managing other people, but they actually don't enjoy being under the spotlight, because Pluto is the energy of underworld. So people with Pluto conjunct midheaven, or Pluto is making any aspect to midheaven or ruler of 10th house, they prefer not to be in the eye of the public. Pluto in the 6th house, or Pluto is making any aspect to ruler of 6th house. 6th house rules work and colleagues. And Pluto in the 6th house, or Pluto is making any aspect to 6th house people, they might have power struggles with their colleagues, especially because that's such people, they are very ambitious, they are very passionate about their work, and they can also get quite competitive. So they might treat their colleagues as potential rivals. And so it may be very difficult for them to have a heart-to-heart, genuine connection with their colleagues. And sixth house rules work. So people with Pluto in the sixth house, or Pluto is making any aspect to ruler of sixth house, they can also have jobs that we mentioned earlier when we talk about the 10th house, like research, atomic research and science. Job requires investigation or digging deep, or psychology, healing. Or maybe they can have jobs in money or resources management, taxes, insurance, or accounting. Or they can also work with hidden resources, secrets, and confidential information. Now, the sixth house also rules health. And sixth house also has this connotation of medical field. So Pluto rules toxins and poisons. So such people with Pluto in sixth house, or Pluto is making any aspect to rule of sixth house, they can also be in a field that's related to poison, like toxicology. It's a subject overlapping biology, chemistry, and medicine. Or maybe they can research about food and toxins, like figure out the connection between food and the cause of toxic effects in the body. And Pluto also rules getting rid of something, purging and cleansing. So jobs that are related to detoxing can be a great option as well, like a colonic therapist or hydrotherapist, or someone who helps other people to remove the toxins in the body. So they can work in detox center, supporting people to go through detoxing or fasting process, especially if you haven't done any fasting before. Juice fasting, coconut juice fasting, or liver flush. This kind of process can trigger a lot of emotions, fears, and sometimes emotional breakdown. And it's a total physical and mental transformational process for such people. So if you have Pluto in the sixth house, or Pluto is making any aspect to the sixth house, such people, they can help people to go through process like this. And Pluto is the energy that's to get to the bottom of everything. In the sixth house of health and medical field, such people, they can also obsessed with finding the root cause of illness. And it's not just about, sometimes it's not just about the toxins from the outside or the cause from the outside. Sometimes it's probably our thoughts and mental status can cause illness as well. So psychologists or psychological research about the mind and emotions, or medical research, they are all great options too. Now, the last example I have for you is Brené Brown. So she's a research professor at University of Houston, and I think probably many of you have heard of her. She spent like 20 years studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. Her TED Talk aired in 2010, talking about the power of vulnerability, which is viewed over 50 million times. And it brought the awareness to all of us to take a look at our emotions, and also the things that we didn't want to talk about or we didn't fully understand, like shame and vulnerability. So you can see here, her midheaven conjuncts Pluto, Uranus, and Moon in the 10th house cusp. So it's also a very busy 10th house. And Pluto, like we mentioned earlier, is about digging deep, getting to the bottom of everything. So it's good for research work, psychological healing, and it's in the sign of Virgo. And Virgo is associated with collecting information, dissecting information, and only use the most practical one. And Virgo is also the spirit of looking into details, fault finding, and carefully analyzing everything. So she said initially when she started this research of vulnerability, she thought it was just a 1-year project. And unexpectedly, it went into the 6 years research. And she had a lot of interviews, focus groups, and lots of letters coming from everywhere telling her their life stories. So you can see that this is like a big amount of work. And Pluto has this passion and laser-like focus obsession. So usually with this amount of work, we need those tremendous focus and will to finish the task. Now, Uranus also conjuncts midheaven. Uranus is about bringing the new idea and technology. So for her career, she should also incorporate new technology and new ideas, which she did because YouTube only invented 2005. I know it sounds very crazy. It seems like YouTube has been there for a long time, but YouTube only invented in 2005. And her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, only aired in 2010. So because of this invention, and she incorporates new technology into her work, her teachings have the sharing have penetrated everywhere in the world. And also this kind of invention, YouTube, has made her knowledge accessible for everyone in the world. And Uranus is also awakener, and Uranus wants to shake things up and introduce new things to the society and to liberate us from the old patterns and old thinking. So her TED Talk on shame and vulnerability definitely have awakened thousands of people to take a look at their emotional well-being and also start to do some shadow work so we can eventually free from psychological complex. Now, Pluto also has this magnetic power. So such people, when they have Pluto conjunct midheaven, they have this power to penetrate into people's mind, and they can be able to transform the negative thinking into something positive. And Moon is also sits in the 10th house. So it rules 8th house. So again, very strong connotation of Pluto and Scorpio. So her career is involved in investigation, research, digging deep. And she's also known for someone who likes to dig deep into the truth. And she actually brings the truth, the ugliness, the things that we don't want to talk about, the roots of the psychological mind to the light and help people to transform. And midheaven is also rules fame, reputation, and eighth house rules ups and downs, sudden ups and downs. So it brings some sudden ups and downs into her career path. So by discovering something hidden, by discovering something deep, it suddenly actually made her recognized in the world. It's a sudden ups and downs, sudden ups and downs. And Moon is also very intuitive. So she has this powerful instincts of knowing where to dig deep and look for the truth. And Moon also shows where she's very sensitive to the public's needs. And also she's able to connect the public on the emotional level. So when you see her TED Talk, it's very, I don't know, it feels very emotional to me. And so you can look at these 3 planets sitting in the 10th house are ruled by Mercury. Mercury goes into the 1st house, sits in the 1st house. Mercury gets full directional strength in the 1st house in Vedic astrology. So Mercury rules the mind, intelligence, and what we think and what we are interested in reading to know about every day. So such people, they can be very intelligent and they're always learning. And in fact, they should never stop learning in their life because Mercury is the teacher, and Mercury is also, just like Jupiter, Mercury is a teacher. So she can easily be in the teaching job or teaching role, or maybe she can in the role that other people see her as a teacher in the working environment. Okay, so that was everything I'd like to share in this video. I hope that it gives you some inspirations about what you want to do in life. And also, I hope it can encourage you to take actions, embracing your true desire. If you're parents watching this video, I hope it can encourage you to understand the uniqueness of your child. And with your support on this journey, they can also have the courage to embrace who they truly are and pursue their calling. Namaste.